Welcome everybody to Under the Bridge Studios. This is our annual Dia de los Muertos show here at Under the Bridge Studio. This is, I believe, here at the studio, this is probably, I think, our 4th year, but actually we've been doing it for a lot longer than this. But this year, what you see here, we're still doing the traditional authors, but what happened, the conversation we had with some friends, we just started talking about people that passed, and we didn't realize that 20 of our art friends had passed away over the years. So we decided this year to have showcase one piece of every artist that passed just recently. So we figured that this would be a good way to pay the tribute, because see, there really is no wrong way of putting together a Dia de los Muertos show, because it's basically tribute. That's why this particular show is called Not Forgotten. And we're going to start off with, of course, our dear friend Maria Villarreal, who passed away just recently from the tragedy of the Hurricane Maria, which is, here's the work right here. Gami also did quite a few work here in the community. Now, this altar here that you see in front of us is basically the way it's set up, is people can come here and put little things as they come along for their families. But basically here, this one right here is for an artist by the name of Felipe Annenberg from Mexico. Dear friend of ours also. And he just passed recently. The sculpture that you see on the table is, again, see, it's interesting because I'm going to have to use the word dear friend, because everybody here is very close friends of ours. Like Jose Moreno passed away maybe a couple of years ago. He was a very famous sculptor from Mexico. I had an opportunity to work with him in the early years. And we also collaborated on The Mermaid, which was a very interesting project that me and him did. Over to this wall right here, if it's possible, is the work of, again, one of our own from South Chicago, Francisco Mendoza. Francisco Mendoza and his brother Vince just recently had a show here at Canterman Park, just recently paying tribute to them. So we had a 2-man show of the two brothers from our community. And again, this is Francisco Mendoza. We only brought one piece of every artist that's in this collection. Now, behind us here, there's an artist that passed away quite a few years ago, Benny Ordonez. Again, so you have to use the words, but still, again, another good dear friend who passed away. We miss him. And this was an interesting piece of work that he did in the early years, because we were messing around with themes at that time. And this particular theme suggests that if you believe that they did the sacrifices and all this and that, well, then you might as well believe in the flying saucers. So it was like a theme that we were messing with during that time, dealing with a little bit of history and how we interpret it. Again, this is Benny Ordonez from South Chicago. Okay, now, as we come along, the work that you see, okay,
give me a moment. Okay,
now the work that you see here is very special to me, because this is actually the work of my father, Don Villarreal. This works right here were in the show at the Historical Society. My father, in the early years, really wanted to be a photographer. And in his lifetime, he never had an opportunity to have a photography show. But yet, years later, when we had an opportunity with the Historical Society, they printed up, I think it was 6 of his work in large scale. Again, this is a picture of my grandfather, my mother, Celia, my aunt, and my grandfather, Ricoso San Martin, in Tampico, Mexico. It's interesting, it's really interesting when you see this show, because everybody had something really important. Like any one of them, we could sit here and talk for the longest, but this is, again, this is my father's work. Now, as we... Now here, we have the works of a very famous, again, another fellow artist from ours, Carlos Cortez. He was for a lot of us, he was our mentor. For a lot of years, he was the one that we all looked up to as an elder in the movement, because he goes back all the way to the Wobblies. So he was a very, very important figure in the art movement here in Chicago. We own quite a bit of his prints, but the problem is, we ran out of space in our house to house a lot of these prints, so they're rolled up and put away. This is one that we just happen to have framed. Now you'll notice here that one of my grandchildren decided to become an artist and took a little pencil and added his 2 cents to this piece. So we thought it was kind of cute. We say, well, it's already on there. What can we do? So He is now part of Carlos Cortez. Here we have another brother that just passed away just recently, Ray Vasquez, who used to refer to himself as the Lone Wolf. And the Lobo, the wolf, painted a lot of Southwest. He was very indigenous in his subjects that he would pick out. So he went in this direction a lot. That's why we brought this particular piece of his. Very detailed art. When you look at the works that he did and how he approached the subject, he was really a very talented painter.
A great face.
Yeah, but he, like I said, he just passed away not even a year ago. Not even a year ago. And actually, this one right here is Michael Priest. Michael Priest was a very, very famous Austin artist from Austin, Texas, who was part of the illustration movement in the early years. So he did a lot of prints. This particular one was given to us as a gift when we met years ago, and this is one of his festivals, the Corn Festival in Austin, Texas. But if you guys look him up, Michael Priest, you'll be surprised at the extent of his
Priest
work.
as in Padre?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's a very, very, and again, I believe Michael Priest passed away not even 3 months ago, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. We heard about it through the thing, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was a strange year this year because we lost so many friends that it kind of pushed us in this direction because we were going to do the traditional altars, but then we went in this direction because this is such an important thing that, because any one of these artists that you see here has more than 1 or 3 works, so we decided just to bring one work of each artist here. In this table here, we have 2 artists from the south side of Chicago. Mr. David Philpott. Mr. Philpott was known for his staffs. I had an opportunity to work with him in the early years in Inglewood. We worked together as we were instructors. He was an elder from the community, but his claim to fame was these staff. Again, he moved to Detroit recently, and he passed away, and it's just this past year. But again, this is David Philpott. Here we have another fellow artist that was living with us here in South Chicago for quite a while. His name was Ed Fu Kanjinga. He was excuse me. He was a jeweler, but he also was a sculptor. And he has a lot of work, but we were able to get a hold of his actual sculpture because somebody else has it. But this is a sample of the kind of work that he did because he was a very, very important person in the African movement, Afrocentric, because he used to design crowns for people. He did a lot of work. This is just a small sample of Ed Fu. On this wall here, we have the work of Bobby Sinstack. Now, Miss Bobby Sinstack's family is from the Defender family, and he was very, very influential in the history of Chicago as a photographer. He has extensive work. These prints here were given to us as a gift years ago. We must have about 8 of them, of different things. Then he also photographed us on different occasions, so he was a real prolific photographer.
Was he with the Chicago Defender?
Yes, he was with the Defender.
That's how the family owned it, didn't it? Yeah.
Yes. And right now, there's a lot of things going on with this particular artist here as far as his collection because it was extensive. The work that he did. Again, this is one of our fellow artists from South Chicago, Vicente Mendoza. Again, him and his brother Francisco had a show just recently at Calumet Park that was very successful, because they were from the community, and it shows the community. What artists came from here, and it gives us a little bit of pride on what's going on here in this community. And again, this is Vince Mendoza. He's very well missed. He was an excellent man to have known. He was. I had the opportunity to go to school with him. We were in the military together, so we have a lot of history. This artist again is from the Southside community with Nioti. Now Nioti, it's hard to speak to him with just one people because he was a prolific artist. He did a lot of work. He was also a jeweler, painter. There's unlimited things that this man did. This is just a small sample. We actually, believe it or not, we own a whole series of cards that he gave us over the years as a gift. So all these things that we have here were all given to us because artists share amongst each other. And that was an interesting thing that every time one of us would have something, well, here, this is for you. No money, no nothing. We were just exchanging with each other's gifts. This artist right here, Leon Tomczak, used to be here from Bush. He came from Bush. He was a very, very interesting man to have known because he was also a healer. He also was with the American Indian movement for many, many years, and he became a shaman, healer, and during his period. But he was also a painter, and all his paintings during that period of time dealt with the indigenous religion. Like, for instance, this one right here deals with the peyote, the symbols of the peyote. And what's interesting about Leon, he was from Bush. He was actually one of the last Polish families that actually lived in the bush. But he was a traveler. His parents lived there, and he came back. We all met, and we became friends. But again, life. Here is the works of two beautiful women artists that were very dear friends of ours again. Now, Salima Rivera was a prolific writer and poet and organizer. This is a series of books that were published years ago by Chicano de Kenya. And you'll notice that on the cover is Gamayel's painting that we just seen when we first came in here. He designed this, but this is actually the photograph that's on the thing. Recently, up north, they published a mural called Legends on the north side, which portrays David Hernandez, Salima Rivera, Gamayel, and Julia Braga from New York City. So it's 4 artists. They pay tribute to Puerto Rican artists in the community. And the piece is called Legends. We were there the day of the dedication. It was beautiful work. I was very, very impressed that they're doing this as a tribute to our friends. Another friend of ours who passed away was Renee Townsend. Renee's specialty, she was a sculptress, but her specialty was casting plaster and bronze figures that she would do. Her work is actually in the downtown, in the City Hall. One of the halls right there. There's a series of her works. And again, she also has one at the Tusabo Museum. Again, this is another Gamayel. We put in 2 of his work, Gamayel. This is a piece of work that he did when he was living on Commercial Avenue in our neighborhood. So I actually got to see him do this series of musicians. And he loved the Beatles. The Beatles was one of his. Now here is, this is
Venus Blue.
Venus Blue. Venus Blue was worked in many, many medias, but I think her main thing was quilting. And it's kind of named for it, I forget what it is, but look at the beauty of the work that she did to this. And we were able to, for many years, we worked with her in different projects. We all worked together at Urban Gateways, at different places. And as friends of hers, we were able to be there when she got sick on us. We were all there together to give her support. I mean, like I said, every single one of these things is so special to us because of the simple fact that we were all together. We were there at the last days when everybody passed. We were all there together when everything happened. So that's why each one of these pieces is so special to us because of the fact that what they mean to us as fellow artists. Now, behind us, Laura is, see this piece right here, I don't want to mistake it. Laura didn't pass away. This is a piece of work that she contributed to the Dia de los Muertos show. So there is 3 artists that are showing their works, but they're not part of the collection that passed. So this is just to show, But again, this is Laura. She has extensive work. She has a lot of work. I think we basically show her work a lot during the Women's Month in March because we do our annual Women's Month, and she usually participates with us. But she had this work right here, and she really wanted us to showcase it. So this is why Laura Gomez's work is here today with us. Now, over this way, this is the works of Karim Silva, another fellow artist from Mexico, who, it's really odd what happened. We heard through the grave, we were at a show for Gamayel on the north side, when we heard rumors that he had passed away. So then we started having to go, we started going to all his old friends, this and that, trying to find out if it's true or it's not true. Well, so far as we know, it's true. He did pass. But we don't know for sure. I mean, I would like a little more proof from somebody to say, yes, he did pass away, he passed away. But we really don't. But according to all his friends that knew him personally, said, yes, he did pass on us. This artist here, he was a calligrapher, But this is me painting him. In other words, he was a philosopher. He was one of the most smartest men that I ever met in my life. He was you have to have known him to really understand what kind of person he was. But he was a mentor. He was somebody that you would really look up to because of his knowledge of so many things in the world. But he was a calligrapher by profession. He worked for the city as a calligrapher. But this is me as a painting of him when he passed. I was sitting there one day and I was thinking of him, and I said, well, you know what? And I did a painting of him. And it's a very good likeness. So if you ever met Mineral and you look at the painting, it's I surprised myself at how close I got to. Now, this is what we did this year for the simple reason that, like I mentioned earlier, there is no wrong way of doing a Day of the Dead show. Because just when we talk, like I said, when we were talking about just the fact that everybody here is in our collection. You know, this is actually the collection of Roman and Maria Villarreal. We took it out of our homes. Like our friend Marge Guerra donated the piece from Venus Blue. So just from that, we were able to have everybody's works. It's just amazing how time goes and how life is. Because there is one thing we know for sure. One day we will be on the wall. And we will be on an altar. You know, that's why right now it's very important. Well, one thing that we're very proud of, that the Dia de los Muertos show is grown internationally. It's not just doesn't belong to the Hispanic people no more. It belongs to the world. And we were able to see it grow to this level. And it's one of the shows that no matter what you do and how simple it is, there's no wrong way of doing it. And again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. The show will be up for, I believe, 2 weeks. Usually we will a bit longer, but usually a Day of the Dead show doesn't stay up very long, you know, because it's more spiritual. But everybody's welcome. There will be a telephone number available just in case anybody wants to see. They can call us. The first person you can call is Maria Villarreal, and her number is 773-931-2930. And we'll be more than glad to open up the studio and talk about the work that's available and any other questions. And again, for the community, anytime that you hear any kind of events that are happening at Underbridge Studio, you're more than welcome to come join us. They're free. Everything that we're doing here to this point is out of pocket. This is all just love for the sake of art. This is the way we're doing it. This is nobody giving us any funding. This is art for the sake of art. So all the shows that have been coming here to Under the Bridge Studios have always come from the artists themselves to show the community that we're here. Again, thank you very much for letting us share this moment with you at Dia de los Muertos.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.